problem. That's why we're just coming on just a little bit later. But really, really welcome. And I'm so excited for another special guest series to our community. Before I introduce you, let me just share, what has been happening in the sake industry with businesses as well as Japan and Australia, right? So there is a rise of new potential importers around the world, right? Who wants to take part of this great sake cause. But there are many, many things that are still unknown in starting this great cause, which cause these potential importers to want to get into this sake business, right? Like all start of business connection is really, really a good way and good to have the right people talk to what when you want to connect to Japan. But the question is, what if you can't speak to Japanese, right? So most new importers are not proficient in Japanese. And as you're aware, the English proficiency in Japan is not as high as we think it is. So how are new importers going to communicate to sake breweries to make that connection? Well, the easiest way is to find someone who can speak English and speak on your behalf of the breweries, or take up the Japanese language yourself if you don't know how to speak. But I've made it very, very easy for you today. For you, I can let you share with you my business connections to the breweries. They can speak English to have all your answers. And if you have one, please do send it forward in the live and we can answer it straight away. But I really, really love to introduce you to this a beautiful business contact in Japan, my friend Kaori Koumatu-san. She's a sake expert and a government certified Japanese alcohol exporter. Kaori-san, arigatou gozaimasu. Could you please introduce yourself and share about your sake story? And how did you get into the sake game and how was sake introduced to you? Can you please share with my community, please?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm in Japan, and then I got involved the sake business 8 years ago, and then now I'm exporting the sake to around the world, helping world's importer of sake. Then I always, fascinated with, sake world since I got involved 8 years ago. So every day, it's like, learning something in Japan, we describe it's like a road. Its road is no end. So I am going to be stay with the sake learning road until end of my life. And I'm so happy to get to know the Sandra. I consider she's like a sake queen. I'm super, super impressed with her activity and then passionate, passion towards sake. And then I'm here. It's my joy to helping and communicating the current importers and supporting the business in their market. Yeah, is that okay?
Yes, yes, 大丈夫です。
Mhm.
ありがとうございます。
Mm.
Kari-san, I
Yes.
will go through the questions that we discussed. Yeah, so you just answer
Yeah.
when you can,
Mhm.
and we will elaborate, of
Mhm.
course. Thank you so much
Mm.
for introducing your beautiful story, Kari-san.
Thank
And
you.
you were a natural. You and me, we just started talking only just a few weeks
Mm.
ago, and we just can't stop thinking about sake. Can't stop talking about sake. That was just me and
Mhm.
Kari. That's how we are.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
I look forward to really meeting you in person when I go to Japan, Karis, and I hope you can, share
Please.
all the breweries with me that you have been doing business with for the last,
Mm.
many, many years. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, so we're going to start with the questions, and these are just common, maybe basic questions that most sake, new sake importers or exporters may have about
Mhm.
sake business with Japan, right?
Mhm.
So, Kari-san, what is your advice, your assistance for new sake importers before they enter a contract with new sake breweries in Japan?
Mhm. Yeah. First of all, yeah, please have a confidence. Yeah, so you don't have to afraid anything because important thing is like have a brewery and important have a very important common in is love towards sake. So as far as between us we have those kind of sake passion, nothing to be afraid.
Mm,
But yeah, so technically speaking, we don't actually don't have a contract. Sometimes we have a contract. It's like a binds sake and then importing. So, but anyway, so yeah, I advise if you you talk to the certain brewery, maybe important thing is express your passion about their sake is important things, and then that would be the start of melting any ice.
yes,
Mm,
yes. It
yeah.
does make sense. Pretty much what Kari's saying, like a professional, just want to summarize, is like with anything, you got to show the sake breweries that you're passionate about sake, passionate that you want
Mm-hmm,
to support their brand.
mm-hmm,
As Kari is saying, it's actually quite easy because it's easier to connect with business when you do have passion already there. So the
mm-hmm.
breweries feel that they can trust you with their brand, another thing.
Yeah.
And then they feel like
Mm,
they want
yeah.
to share more things with you. So
Mm-hmm,
therefore, it's like it's worth telling you about it. It's worth doing business with you. That's probably what Kari is trying to
yeah.
summarize.
Yeah. That's
Again,
the.
with the first connection, right? And if you can get everything translated, why won't it be easier, right? You just work
Yeah.
together.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, thank you,
mm-hmm,
Kara-san. All right, next question. So, what
mm-hmm,
are the important things to know as a new importer? Um, Connection to a new sake brewery.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So the old brewery wanna export their sake probably if the condition is good to the Australia your market or in your market. Doesn't have to be Australia if you were staying in other country.
Mhm,
But the one thing is, the sake brewery also thinks is quite important things is to protect if there is a current importer or distributor already existing in your market. So
mhm.
at that, yeah. So this is the only issue if the brewery, if brewery have to say, there is no possibility to export.
Okay, so just summarizing for Kara-san. So we did touch on this last time in our conversation last time, Kara-san. So she's saying that the breweries before even doing any starting business with you, they will check in your
Mm-hmm.
country that nobody is exporting their brand
Yeah.
already, um,
Mm-hmm.
or there is no, agreement with another importer or exporter in the country. Because
Mm-hmm.
why is that the case, Kari-san? Can you elaborate for the community of why breweries won't do that and why is it a bad thing, so to say?
Mm-hmm. So I deeply involved with the small, for example, I deeply involved the Singapore market.
Hmm, hmm. Yes.
And, if the brewery engaged with one importer, distributor, so they, you know, they want to protect, the current distributors, price or market. They don't want unnecessary competition between the multiple distribute establishing multiple distributor. They start
Yes.
competing price,
Yes.
and then brand value is going to be, dive to the, cannot protect the price and the
Yes.
brand value. It's going to be miss, right? So it's not good for the everyone. That is like an example of the small markets. So maybe the Australia or other country like a US might be different situation,
Mm-mm.
but that is an experience I've been through.
I believe, just like you were saying there, other countries probably the same. sometimes it's
Mhm.
all to do with the population as well. But I think it's
Mhm.
I know USA because the
Yeah.
countries are not very close to each other, and
Mhm.
distribution is not easy just from one part of the USA. So that
Mhm.
is why
Mhm.
having a different distributors there, because
Yeah.
a lot of my contacts in USA were saying they can't get sake from this part of USA and this part of
Yeah.
USA. And even if they were try to do online, still there's no distribution
Mhm.
channel easy enough to to
Yeah.
um
Right.
transfer.
Yeah.
Well, we were saying about Australia. Australia is a little bit more compact. It's like together more, so that's probably easier to distribute amongst the whole country. But like you're saying,
Mhm.
it does make sense, isn't it? I mean, having too many distributors, it'll be like fighting with each other because everybody wants it, right? But the thing is like,
Mhm.
how is that channel of distribution going to be able to compete with another distribution channel just quite close by in the same sort of country?
Mhm.
And if you can send over to like everywhere, why don't you? Again, about brand, right?
Mhm.
You don't want it to be like a duplication of the brand where the fact is it doesn't have any value on the fact that people only one person everybody has it, if that makes sense. But where you're gonna put it, that's a different
Yeah.
story.
So,
Like she's frozen. Horizon. Yeah.
mm, so it really depends on the market.
Yes.
For
Yes.
example, like Japan. Yeah. In Japan, the and then deeply involved with the tax agency, and everything is strict under the control.
Mm, mm, mm.
So that this made Japan enable to have multiple distributor because the price and then distance of like each sake shop is very much controlled by government
Mm, mm,
in
mm.
order to keep everybody alive in sake industry because Japan see the sake item as a national product.
Yes.
So they crush you know any business as far as it's a sake. It's not much controlled market.
Mm.
So it's like in a way, government protect and giving the strict
Of course. I mean,
control. So,
everything have to be balanced, right? So
yeah,
that way you can go
but
control. Yeah. Mm.
yeah, but the place like Hong Kong and Singapore, those places, it's more free market. So that the distributor can put the free price or the number of the distributor can be the free, you know. But in Japan, we the number and then the people involved in the sake business are strictly controlled.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
that so that that you see the different
Mm.
market, Japan as a country. I don't know much about Australia. So if the Australia, if you can persuade the distributor, the Australia is different market, like
Of course.
unlike Singapore and Hong Kong, maybe they may think about differently. So this is, what I think. Is that
Of
okay?
course, of course. Every country
Mm,
has different distributing experiences and
mhm,
situations, right? Because
yeah.
I would see like on the other countries, right? They will have that same brand, but it'll be distributed by another different channel, but we don't
Mhm,
understand why. Maybe they just can,
mhm,
or there's different restrictions or different
yeah.
rules, maybe. Again, it depends on that situation. Well, Australia was pretty much straightforward. I'm pretty sure that you
Mhm,
won't see a new the same brand with another distributor. There will be only one brand with this distributor. If you see that brand with another distributor, is they buy it from the actual main distributor or something
mhm,
because they want to have in their range. Because maybe their customers are looking for this brand, but
mm,
can't bring in themselves because a special agreement with the brewery from the actual mentioned
mm,
main distributor. So therefore, that they
mm,
buy it from the first distributor and then resell it as them as the second distributor. So it becomes a middleman. That's what we see in the Australian market. Well, okay.
mm.
Thank you, Carissa. We'll move on to the next question. Do they need, so new importers or exporters need to know or speak Japanese to, or have someone that knows how to speak Japanese in order to communicate effectively with the sake breweries?
Yeah, yeah, it's good to know Japanese language, but nowadays we have like a translator, deep, deep or Google translator. Sometimes it's okay, this technology can help a lot, but if you know the some technical words like semi-buai or the sakamai, those kind of maybe probably hundreds the technical word involved in the sake production would be helpful, and definitely it's worth to learning sake language.
It does make sense, right? And they should,
Mhm.
it would be very beneficial for them to know how sake is made. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yeah, hmm that is and then brewery people likes if they know understand those words. Yeah.
It makes them feel like they can trust you with their brand as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because if you know something about the sake making production, and then
Mm-hmm.
even though you're not Japanese, you're not speaking Japanese, breweries will feel like, oh, like very, very happy, right? Yes, I know. Some of
But
my
yeah, you may pick up Lolo language during the business. Yeah.
yes, do pick up very easily. Yes.
Oh, because you like, right?
It is
Mm,
easy to share um, the same interests even though I
mm,
don't speak Japanese fluently or a lot, but I don't need to communicate
mm,
that with Japanese with the sake breweries. I just say to like the Toji-san, I say, Toji, I really like your Nihonshu. It's really oshi. And I will tell them,
mm,
I'll ask them about questions, but we will have it translated because in the beginning I got no like good information for sake. And the only way I can get good information from sake is to actually ask Toji-san. So I asked the Toji-san, and I he can translate English to Japanese through
mm,
translation. So I will ask some friends to translate this one into a Japanese language writing, and then I send message to the Toji-san to reply back to me, and then we translate back to English to get some more information because a lot of questions I had about sake when I beginning,
yeah,
nobody
yeah.
can answer. Sake supplier distributor cannot answer because they're not sake
Mm,
brewer, right? They just tell me maybe facts only, right? So I find it was not enough to tell my customer how to love sake. Not You can tell customer what is the sake. You can tell the customer um, some special story about sake, but how can you tell a customer how to love the sake? This is important question. So
that's
I know now
right.
how.
Yeah, I think the person like you, the Sandra, the queen of sake, is strongly needed in the development of Japanese sake, because we need diverse opinion and a fresh opinion with fresh eyes and fresh palate.
Mm,
So I think it's good to have the foreign important importer for the brewery to to develop the sake to the next stage, I guess.
it
Mm,
does help, I guess.
does
Because
help. Yeah.
it does help breweries as well, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Japan connections as well. Like you don't know our market, so the best people to us is the people who are in the market. Give you that
Mm-hmm.
sort of like feedback, especially with a sake brand. So with
Mm.
a sake brand, how is my customer liking the Toji's sake? How are they feeling about it?
Yeah.
Why would they buy it? This may be important question for sake brewers.
Mhm.
Why are they buying my sake from you? Right? Why are they
Yeah,
buying
that's
my
that's it's all the toys like to speak to you, and then the foreign importer and the foreign the lovers. They can give them a lot of inspiration.
Yes,
Yeah,
we help each other. I mean, we are inspired by sake
yeah,
breweries, but they
mm,
also get inspiration from us when customers love their sake, right?
yeah.
All right.
Mm,
Thank you, Kari-san. Um, we'll move on to the next question. So I think we mentioned this in our discussion last time, Kari-san. So you said, is it better to choose the sake brews you want first,
mm,
and
mm,
then the importers will want to promote. So they should know who to choose, and then they will start the connection. Is that important?
I think the passion is very important to open any door.
Mm-hmm.
So you should involve with the brewery, the those brewery make your favorite sake. Everything makes smooth.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm,
So, Kari, just elaborate for Kari, and we're saying is like there's so many sake breweries, right?
mhm,
But it's what we find that with established importers already, what they have done is actually chose a importer the brewery themselves because they love the brewery brand already. So if you already
mhm,
love the brewery brand, you go seek and see if you want to be the importer or exporter for that brand if it's not available in your country. So I
mm,
know one of my clients, they went to Japan personally to find these breweries that he knows is not in his country, and then he make communication and now become Australia distributor for that brand only. So it's also the
mm,
effort, right? It's also your effort and dedication. And the breweries think it's important to see that because they know you want to support their brand, where we're helping
mm,
each other out is really
mm,
important. Now,
yeah.
Harrison, what kind of costs do importers or exporters need to be aware or need to know beforehand, you think?
Come again? I couldn't hear.
Cost. What cost is,
Yeah.
yeah, what do they
Mm-hmm.
need to know about cost before starting?
The in the sake export business, the payment is payments has to be in advance before brewery dispatch their sake to the warehouse in Japan port.
Mm-mm-mm.
So you need to prepare at least the amount you want to buy, the sake cost plus logistic cost. Mm,
Mm,
mm.
okay. So, mm, do they need to order a lot of
It doesn't
sake?
have to be a lot. I think the all the in, importer who never import sake, the
Yes, yes,
beginner,
yes.
maybe start with like one pallet or
Mm,
samples. The free box is okay, and then you can use those sake as a marketing
mm.
or sales promotion. Then you capture the good. The restaurants, they want to buy your sake and secure your market first. Then you can go to next order, gradually make it bigger amount.
That is a good tip, isn't it? I mean, most importers will tend to just buy for sale straight
Yeah.
away, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't take into the consideration, is your market ready for your new brand or not,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a great tip you share that, Kari. That what Kari was saying, just to summarize, it's maybe better to take minimum
Minimum palette.
palette, but have
Mm-hmm.
that for purpose for promotion only, not for selling.
Mm.
So
Promotion and then
how many is
yeah.
a pallet normally? How many bottles is that,
Yeah,
Kari-san?
the one pallet can carry like 350 to 400 bottles,
Mm.
but can be less than that. It's up to you.
Oh,
Mm.
so there is room for negotiation, is it?
you decide how many you want, and then in the I think in the first in first batch of importing sake, you can or I can help to discuss with the brewery. I wanna, you know, test market or
Mm-mm.
I want to have a samples. Sample is something like exceptional, so you don't have to, buy
Mm,
much.
mm.
Even this one has to be negotiated. Yeah.
Yes. Share with my experience, I brought in a new sake brewery. I'm not importer but retailer, but what they
Mm,
did was they sent me samples of this new range, the whole range, and we did a special event to see if market liked their
mm,
range. Um, but people are asking me straight away, want to buy straight away. So this is like a good outcome. Do a promotional event with the new
mm,
sake, see people like it, then you know which one you want to
yeah.
bring in as well. Um,
Mm,
and the fact that you got someone like Kari-san as a good business contact who discuss and negotiate with sake breweries, I believe if both of the importer or exporter and sake breweries want to have a good outcome, anything can happen. Anything
mm,
can be done, right? So
mm,
there is no stopping. Not too many. Shouldn't be too many conditions where you think that it's not gonna work. You
mm,
just negotiate to find the right
mm,
solution,
mm,
right?
mm,
Thank you, Kara-san, for sharing that
mm,
tip.
mm.
Now, yeah, what how long can a new importer get the sakes if they make connection with sake breweries?
Making connection with sake brewery
Mm. How long they have
how,
to wait for sake
to
ship?
to ship.
Yep.
So now we are entering the brewing season. November, the weather is
Mm.
becoming cold. So if the sake is in the stock, their their warehouse, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks or 1 to 3 weeks. They can prepare sake
Is
to
this
the
is this
certain port, like a
certain port? Yep.
certain port from the brewery to Kobe port or Tokyo Yokohama port. I
Hmm.
think it's like around 2 weeks.
Okay.
Mm.
And then shipping?
Shipping from Japan to Australia, like depends on which port. Though the preparation in a Japan port takes like 10 days, something like that. Depends on the how you want to do organization or those kind of coordination. But
Mm.
I think sometimes ship delay also maybe 10 or 14 days or less than that, around that time, around
So we can
10.
get sake to Australian port about 10 to 15 days. Okay.
Yeah, the shipping time
Yeah.
is 15 days to 1 month to Australia, I
Or
guess.
okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
If there's no
So
delay. If there's no delay.
like 2 months
2 months. Yeah, about
altogether. Mm,
that makes sense, about 2 months. If there is no
mm,
delay, because sometimes I'd be
mm.
waiting for sake for 3, 4 months sometimes, last time in COVID.
Oh,
So it
mm.
really depends on, there's
Depends
no
on the
delay.
situation
Yeah.
also. Okay.
Mm. But then you have to go through also Australian custom declaration as well. So it could
Yeah,
be add
you
on
have to take
another
it
one
consideration.
more couple of weeks, right? Because I remember talking to suppliers and I said, "Where's my stock?" And they said, "Oh, it's still shipping over from Japan." And I said, "Why is it
Mm,
taking so long?" He said, "Still going through clearance." So there is always going to be late. So I would say, you said 2 months. I would say at least 3 months. From my
mm.
experience, we get like to come to, I mean,
I think the 3 months.
coming to
Yeah.
us, right? So it will maybe be with the supplier, with the port, about maybe 2.5 months or something like that, right? But it won't be released until maybe after 6 months or something like that, because um, there's just too many. There's a lot of clearance sectors for Australia just to bring in sake. And
Mm.
they need to make sure that it can't be detained. There is, it goes through clearance. It doesn't have anything wrong with the product, and it's meeting all the conditions. There's so many headache reasons of just getting sake to Australia,
Oh.
and to my shop. So yes,
Mhm.
but oh, there was another question about sake. Now you're talking about you're in brewing season now, so
Yeah.
sake's brewing until March, is right?
March or nowadays extend to like May
Mm.
because more demand of the sake
Yes,
and
yes.
they have to, they can finish brewing.
Mm.
Sometimes some popular brewery
Uh,
have to be on like May.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask another question about a very curious question. When sake's finished production, like finished production and then goes to bottle in for the market, what's the shortest amount of time that if we can get sake that just been freshly brewed that year, that time? So if sake now brewing, so 2023 will be new sake arrival, right? How if I wanted 2023 sake to come to Australia, how can I get that 2023 sake that just been uh,
Freshly made you want the sake. Yeah. So the sake production will takes like
mm,
it depends on the brewery and which item you want.
yes, yes, yes.
Because during the brewery season, they start make a plan,
Mm,
which Jumai Daiginjo should be brewed in which day. So you need to discuss with
mm,
each brewery
yeah.
if you want this item when this will be ready. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know because
Yeah.
I can never get this year sake. I can only get previous year sake as the freshest, freshest batch.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think if I can get this year's sake, it would be um 6 months after a bottle, which is probably yeah. My new supplier, I see 2022 this year, so those
Mm,
are fresh sake. But previous suppliers are 2021, so
mhm.
I get last year batch. It's not a bad thing. It's just timing of batch. Precious batch doesn't come very easily to Australia, depending
Yeah.
on distributor.
So I see, the overseas importers quite sensitive about the bottling day
Mm,
and the brewery uh, timing.
mm, mm,
And then I think it's, a little complicated, but, I give you the one interesting example. Sometime, brewery just, store the mature sake deliberately 1 year
mm,
or
mm,
at least like a 3 month
mm,
in order to, the sake to be more tasty and mild. So they see this, the sleeping time, the maturation time is very important. So, sometimes, the sake, if it's fresh, it's not ready to drink.
mm, mm.
So, and then you can do the good maturation with your refrigerator as well. But I think it's, takes a long time to talk about this kind of topic. Maybe I talk next
Well,
time.
yeah, yes, I think so. You and me got the same habit, right? A curry son. Let me just summarize on that. So sake brews do actually purposely, age sake
Yeah,
deliberately. Not
yeah,
because to make it want to have aged sake, but to actually make the taste more tastier for this particular
yeah.
sake.
The
Hence,
time for the good integration of the alcohol and as a
yes,
component.
yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they all too not say fresh, like too alive. Like all the
Mm,
bodies in the sake when they freshly bottled, they're still too alive. They've
mm,
not been
yeah,
settled in yet. So the good, beautiful flavor actually comes in after settle in. So that's
Yeah,
probably
it
why the sake
all
brewery do
depends
that.
on item and the brewery policy. So it's good to have a good communication with the brewery people. Mm.
Well,
So
that's good. So, like, if
yeah.
you like a supplier or importer, right? If you feel like you're questioning why the bottle date is like from last year, and you think that the quality of sake may be bad, what just you got communication with the sake brewers, you ask them. You don't just assume, right? Because the brewery will know and tell you exactly why sake is like this. Because I have sakes from 2021, and we're still it's still delicious, right?
Yeah.
It does not
Mm.
depend on the bottling date, right? But I noticed that some countries focus too much on how the bottling date is really important. But it depends on the
Mm,
sake. It really depends on the sake, right?
mm.
But sake actually has no expiry date,
You're
actually.
right.
We
Yeah.
want to make that a point. Actually, some of
So
my sakes can be a little bit older than last year as well. It still tastes delicious.
yeah.
So
So good point. Good point. That's why you're sake queen. You can see the things more deeply.
Yes, and it goes back to the quality control. So I got some importers telling me that they can only bring sake through cold refrigeration, right?
Mm,
Um,
mm,
but this is sometimes could be very costly because cold refrigeration. Because last time, one of the suppliers were telling me we try to bring a new brewery and said
mm,
they only will go with this juice brewery if you did cold refrigeration. But the supplier couldn't bring that sake brand in because they didn't want to do cold refrigeration. So, what are the actual alternatives for sake that is sensitive to temperatures? What can importers do in that circumstance?
mhm, mhm. So this is, this is also depends on the which sake you choose. And then last time, I talked to the one brewery in Fukushima, actually the Akebon. So they spend so much money on the
Mm,
cooling system, and then the packing room is also like a cold temperature, and they wear like a jacket to put the sake in a box because they're very, very strict on the temperature control. So those kind of sake, I think really need to be brought by, cold chain, super, the controlled until the end customer. But, there is another sake, you know, very durable in a temperature. So there is a sake is not one kind. So some sake is good in a hot temperature. So the pasteurization sometimes has is done like two times. So those kind of sake you should choose if you cannot prepare the cold chain.
mm.
So these things is I can give you the advice because I'm professional about this kind of the temperature control. Oh, yeah.
It does
So
make
I
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to elaborate for Kari-san. She's just the perfect contact
Mm,
for you, honestly.
yeah.
Because from far from Japan, where we don't have connection like Kari-san, you're
Mm,
going to be stuck with what do you do?
mm,
But
mm,
if there is a form of negotiation where you
yeah.
can actually discuss with the brewery,
Mm,
they will want to work with you, they will make it happen for
mm,
you, right? So,
yeah.
but of course, we're only getting one side of the story because this is where a supplier would tell me that the brewery didn't want to do with them, or they didn't want to do with the brewery because they don't want to do cold refrigeration transportation. But they didn't tell me if they actually talked to the brewery or did they negotiate anything. There was like
Mm,
no room for negotiation.
mm,
But I believe like some breweries, they are very, very pride about their work. So quality want to be giving the precious quality to their customers. So that is why
yes.
they put those conditions. It's not a bad thing. It's actually telling you you want a quality premium
Mm,
sake. the best way we're going to give you
Right, right. Yeah.
our best,
Mm-hmm.
masterpiece is by keeping it in this way. Because if we want to ship Japan to Australia or other countries, we can't control the quality of our sake. So the only way we can control it is if you do this sort of condition. It makes
So
sense.
the yeah, yeah. So what is, the I wanna say that, the sake is such a, precious item without, putting any preservation. So this is a very big difference from the wine. That's why, have to be treated like an extra super item without, very close to the earth and then very precious things. So I think the market value should be upgraded more because including all the, the proper transportation fee. And then like you spend a lot of, time to burn on the sake. So sake should be more expensive if possible, putting more, extra variable information like, no preservation, no genetic, the manipulation of the rice. So it's
Mm.
very, very, safe drink. That's why we have to put in a refrigerator all the time.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean,
Mm,
all my sakes are in fridge.
mm,
All my
great.
sakes are in fridge. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
in the beginning, when sake was still young, my family didn't really understand
Mm,
sake quality
mm,
important, so
mm,
everything was outside. But
mm.
after I took over and I made sake a very high quality,
Yeah,
luxury item, because
luxury
it
item.
was a
Mm,
luxury item. As soon as you were to taste it, as soon as you
mm,
discover how it was made, as soon as you can see there's so many things that goes behind the sake bottle,
mm,
it became a luxury item that you couldn't see price anymore because
mm,
it was so luxurious, right? And I was very, very strict with my family. They never did put sake in fridge before. And after learning about sake culture and, appreciating what it stands for, I was really strict on the condition of the sake. All sake
mm,
have to be in the fridge. I don't
mm.
care. You put it in the
Yeah.
fridge. We want
Mm,
to keep sake as fresh as possible, quality as possible, right?
mm,
Even some of the sakes could be 2 years old because they didn't move or whatever, but it was always in the fridge. So that's another thing. Maybe the sake didn't sell straight away on that year or the previous year, but I kept it in the fridge the whole time. How can
mm.
that sake go bad? It's
Yeah.
kind of like
So
impossible, you know?
sometimes, like, we do the maturation in the refrigerator. So
Yes, you would
15
do that.
years
Yes.
old sake is, putting more value, and then they can sell, you can sell more expensively because of the, fridge maturation, you can say. Right. Mm.
Yes.
So as well
Another
as
thing
like
is,
sometimes
yeah,
like yeah, -5 degrees, the refrigerator can be prepared. You can do the the maturation. Then you can upgrade the price year by year until like a 15 or 20 years. It's more expensive than the first year. That is the sake maturation.
there is a different types of forms of different
Mm.
age
Yeah,
sakes, correct?
in sake, yeah.
There is a simple version. I want you to explain for me, Karasa, because I don't have many Koshu or age
Mm.
sake, but
Mm-hmm,
there
mm-hmm,
was two that I had. One was very standard price that I could sell it for. The other one was more luxury price. So
mm-hmm.
that time I not really understand how age sake really is in terms of, pricing value. But if you say the opposite, not to sake, you say some different alcohol called wine. Wine, you age wine becomes more expensive. People will
Mm-hmm.
ask you the question, does sake have a vintage value as well? Could
Yeah,
you share your experience with this concept?
yeah. So now we are on the project of making 100 years old sake in a sake brewing association in Japan, Tokyo.
100 years?
So
Because
100 years we put in a sake in a normal temperature, dark, cool place, and how sake is going to be, developed.
also you're doing experiment.
Not me, but those kind of association existing,
Oh, okay, of
and
course.
that, and then yeah, so the sake can be matured, and then like a wine or the whiskey
Mm,
can, the taste can be, developed sometime, put in a very hot, very, very hot temperature, like more than 40 degrees Celsius. Yeah, near the top roof. And
mm,
then the taste turn into, magically nice. And it depends on, the sake, which kind of environment would be good for the maturation. So
mm,
sometimes
mm,
sake shop can do this as well,
mm,
like
mm,
importer, if they know the how to mature, how to do the maturation in a best condition, and then you can grow your sake in your place.
mm.
That is quite,
Well,
another
that's
way.
handy, is it? Because sometimes sake don't move it when it that time. So what do we do with the sake that didn't move, right? If we can
Mm,
in the shop maturity age the sake to bring
mm.
up its vintage value, why not?
So this is like, up to your experience, and then
Mm.
your nose and tongue and your experience, and then the sake can tell you. But I think it's good, to know, the some sake shop in Japan doing their own maturation, even the nama. They just
Yeah,
put in the
why
normal
not?
temperature.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's
So and
fun.
then they enjoy, and
Yes.
then you can resell, more expensively if you become a master of maturation,
Mm. No,
right?
because I do need some my own age sakes in here.
Mhm.
So maybe I have to
Mm.
do it myself.
But I heard, Yamada Niski is still the king of maturation.
It has more, complexity, correct? A
Yeah,
lot
and
of
then
like it
when it's grow with the age, the Yamada Niski, flourish nicely.
give me
Yeah.
something to be excited about, Horizon. I will be
Mm,
aging sakes in my shop now.
yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Next question, Karen-san. Arigatou gozaimasu. Um, so sometimes, most new importers cannot travel to Japan, right?
Mm,
So, they can't speak to sake breweries, although this is the actual ideal way to make business with sake breweries. So, one of my clients were asking, I think you just discussed that in the previous question, if they request for samples for the brewery brands to try it out for the market,
mm,
that is possible, right?
yeah.
But that will be charged to them.
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
samples is always paid, and then you have to, need to the logistic fee also have to be paid.
of
Mm.
course. Okay, next question, Carissa. Now, what would be the recommendation for new importers to actually, how many breweries should they start with? What's your advice and
Mm.
recommendation?
Let's say like what did I answer? But you can try for your brewery, like if you can handle like a five or six or four, 3 or 4. I think the idea is starting like five or six, then try mm, try with sake with
Mm,
your consumer. Then
yes.
the consumer palate will, respond which sake they. Then if you cannot sell, the certain brewery, you have to, give up,
Mm.
right? So you need to do the selection.
It
So
is
you,
really important that when you do start to choose the brands you want to represent, you stand by them. Really
yeah, but
important.
important thing is always, your consumer will decide, decision maker, right? You want
Exactly.
to you want to sell, but the market don't want to buy. You will stop. So you can start with maybe 10 or 12. It's up to you. How you can handle those rules.
No, it
Mhm,
makes sense. I want to elaborate for Kari-san because this is what we do in the Sake Mastery Academy as well, when we're talking about what kind of selections of breweries and how many, right?
mhm,
Um, you got to ask, do you have a team or are you by yourself? If you're by yourself, you have to really think, can you manage? How many can
mhm,
you manage, right? You don't
mhm,
expect, right, that you choose five or six breweries. That means one sake. One
mhm.
brewery has maybe five types, six types, 10 types, 12 types.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Mm,
So be very, very, very clear that, how you want to present the brewery, right? Or
mm,
how you want to show. Because one of my client, they have three breweries, but in their range is 20, 50, 60 brands. I mean,
yeah.
types, right? But I always like give the advice, you choose a brewery, you have at least three styles from them, six
Mm,
styles from them, because you want to show that brewery range. So they have their logo, their brand. One
mhm,
brand, it does work as well. Now, if you don't want to take the whole brewery, you just take one bottle type from that brewery. A lot of
mhm,
the big suppliers have been doing this. When I started, the famous brewery, I only got one bottle type from them. We
mm,
start
mhm,
not range. But I concerned as to why they didn't give me a range. So I look for a range in that brewery. But the supplier will only get one type from that brewery to
mm,
represent, which is actually a very smart thing to do. Now I understand why they didn't bring in a range, because they don't know if they can sell that brand or
mm,
that
mm,
type. You don't know.
mm,
You may
mm.
like it, but you're not the one buying it. The
Yes.
customer is buying it. If your customer doesn't
Mm,
like this range of yours, or you haven't promoted it to make people like it, then
mm,
it
mhm,
becomes a dead range. The brewery will be disappointed they can't sell the brand or it's not working
mm,
for them. But
mhm,
they rather you to be honest about it. Okay. I think sake breweries, like customers, they want honesty as well. If you can't support their range, like you give them valuable feedback, they will understand because
yeah.
they don't know your
Mhm,
market. Sake breweries
mhm,
don't know your market, right?
mhm,
That's why they send, sake brewery representative every year to go visit different countries to see how the market responds, right?
mm,
So want to elaborate when you're choosing your range where you want to start in business, be very strategic on how you're choosing. Don't just say
mhm,
you want to represent five, six breweries, but you're going to get like five types from each and every one of them you're not sure
mm,
about. If you want to go with five breweries, six breweries, just choose one style or maybe three styles, the maximum.
mm,
Because do you have a team or are you by yourself? That's the question, right? Let me see. Me too. So do the sake importers, new sake importers and exporters, what do they need to organize in their side before Japan, Kari-san?
The importer,
Yeah, importer and exporter. Yeah.
importer, exporter.
What do
What?
what do they need to organize for themselves, their side? We were talking more of the Japan side. How about like Australia and other countries' side? What do they need to know?
Oh, price, the parking list, those kind of things, and then need to do the calculation with your uh, putting in the logistic cost, and then you need to decide the market price. Those kind of things you're talking about.
I think so.
Mm.
Yes. Yes, we're just elaborating on that from your experience now. So I'll
Mhm,
elaborate for Carissa. So our side, we're probably thinking of how do we receive the container or the
mhm,
pallet, right? What do we need
mhm,
to organize?
mhm,
So you're saying
mhm,
logistic cost, freight cost, of course, transfer cost, custom
mhm,
clearance, right? Think what
mhm.
else is there? This is what I've been told, even though I'm not
Yeah.
importer. And then of course, know when is the sake coming in as well.
Mhm,
And then when it
mhm.
comes to you, which is, the customer side, retail side, we look at, the tax cost, right? How
Yeah,
much
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
wet? How much was the freight
Mhm,
fee? How much was the
mhm,
GST, right? And
mhm,
then we put our markup and see how we sell it. Yeah.
mhm,
So These just a
And
few.
also like a tasting note and then the food
Yes,
pairing, those kind of promotional ideas, and the how you can brush up the item, you know
this
how.
is new generation feedback, Karasan.
Mm-hmm.
Before, suppliers don't supply this. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh.
the uh traditional suppliers don't supply
Mm-hmm.
extra things to help customers or the retail industry or even Japanese hospitality to actually promote the sake properly,
Mm-hmm.
because they will just give you supplier notes,
Mm-hmm.
but the taste notes does not make customer understand sake, because
Mm-hmm.
customer are not sake educated. How will they understand this taste notes sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So the things that you're all mentioning, like food pairing and all that sort of thing, is only if they can ask directly to sake breweries, they will tell
Mm-hmm.
you, which is what I did in the past. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are sake educated, it makes the process more easier and
Mm-hmm.
more effective. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
you can ask more brewery questions to the brewery, but do you understand where that information is coming from? You don't understand, how are you going to promote that to your customer? Correct? We can say yes, it tastes, the food is nice, but did you try it? So even though you're not a sake professional, but the brewery is telling you, okay, you can pair this with this sake and it tastes this way. Why don't you go and confirm that yourself? Suppliers tend to give like retailers like samples and all that to give the customers to try it. Very, very common promotional way to get customers to enjoy the brand. But most customers or the customers who the suppliers are giving it to don't actually taste the sample. My father has been giving samples for 30 years, free samples from sake. He never tasted it. So I don't know why, you know? But maybe they
Mm-hmm.
were scared. They're not sake educated. They're scared. They don't want to try it. They just think, oh, just give it to the customer, let them try it. But then it becomes a disconnection with the brand of trying to promote it effectively to the consumer market. So um, I I taste all the sake, as you know, Kari-san. So I know exactly what all the sake range in my shop tastes like. Then I can accommodate to the customer's feelings, right? Of how to make the customer understand this sake brand. All right. So, Kari-san, that's probably the last question. Hari, thank you so much. It was fun talking to you, and thank you really sharing your insight knowledge. Whoa, you and me can talk for all day, Kara-san, just about sake business, honestly. If I go to Japan, probably be talking for over sake tasting as well. So sake professionals, if you have any questions, do pop them in the live. Yeah, if you have any other dying questions that we didn't answer. But I hope this information session with me and Kahari-san is actually very, very useful for you, and you have gained a lot of value from that. And Kari is the contact if you do want to start your sake business. Doesn't matter which country you're from. I'm talking
Yeah.
Japan. Okay, just
Yeah.
because I'm in Australia, I'm talking to Japan. So she's my business connection to
Mm-hmm.
Japan. So it doesn't matter which country you are from. If you are considering, thinking of want to start sake business, please reach out to Kari-san. He has a
Yeah.
beautiful, you know, um, business setup that helps new importers
Mm-hmm.
and sake importers to start
Mm-hmm.
business with Japan. Right?
Yeah.
I hope you loved the interview today, sake professionals. Thank you so much. And
Thank
I'll
you so much.
share another, sake special guest series next time. Have a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Kampai.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Kari-san. That was great.
Sorry. Mm,
So we'll probably get more questions later on.
mm,
But
mm,
yes, I think this was a really good session. I think a lot of
thank you.
importers do not know this
Mm.
information
Oh,
because
I see.
if they know is but only someone, oh, she's gone.